So now this discussion is on the RMG platforms, the massive growth industry, and how to enhance the customer experience. We keep seeing ads of RMG platforms everywhere, and it has somewhat become unavoidable for all of us, such it is its presence. We'll hear more about RMG platforms from all our speakers today. So can we please put our hands together for our panelists for the session? I would like to welcome Mr. Vikas Kantu, who is the Senior Vice President, Quadrific Media Private Limited. Please welcome Mr. Vikas. I would request Mr. Vikas to kindly come on the stage. Okay, he's there. Really honored to invite you on stage, Mr. Vikas. Once again, would like all of you to please give him a huge round of applause. We have Mr. Jayendra, AVP Product Playerzpot. Can we please welcome Mr. Jayendra on stage? Okay, he's coming. Along with them, we have Ms. Richa Singh, who is the founder, FanClash. Ms. Richa, may I request you to kindly join us on the stage for this wonderful discussion, Ms. Richa? And this session will be moderated by Ms. Sharmilee Daru, who is the founder of Sharmilee Daru PR and Forward Gaming. Welcome, Ms. Sharmilee.
Hi, guys. Hi, everyone. So we're going to touch upon some aspects on real money gaming, what's happening there, what's the scenario out there, and some of the very interesting facets of new trends. Let's discuss, yeah? So, Vikas, I'm going to start with you. Can you tell me what it's like on what's happening on the regulatory front, on the GST front, and where do you see light at the end of this tunnel? Any thoughts, your 2 cents, and then please.
Yeah. Hey guys, thank you for having me. Well, I guess the right topic to start off with, right? All eyes on these regulations and GST that's happening can go either way, can be a make or break for the whole industry. But I think the developments, all of us are aware, nothing concrete as of now, multiple panels discussing multiple things, both from government, AIGF, like our lobbying partners, as well as from the brands as well, right? So one thing that I would like to share is our experience from the last 2-3 years, right? Irrespective of the kind of adversities that we have faced, this is probably the industry which has grown the fastest and in the strongest way, right? So I feel these regulations and everything will just cement it more. Right. Currently, there's a lot of gray space. The industry is great, right? All the elements of it are great. Probably regulations and these gray areas are the only ones which is stopping it, right? So once there is clarity on this space, either way, right, it will only cement, build more legitimacy for the industry, and it will only help us grow faster. GST and all is probably multiple factors involved that, right, for us to debate upon it. But then once this, all of this regulation space, the government's banning it, the courts reversing it, all of this is not good from a user's mind space, right? So this legitimacy building into a certain trust factor is the only thing that is required. I think every industry has faced this, probably digital payments faced that probably 2-3 years back after demonetization, everything helped. Mutual funds used to face the same, AMFI campaign and all helped that, right? So it's done for gaming. So once all of this settles in, I think it's a great road ahead. So that's my 2 cents for it.
Great. Any of you guys want to add 2 bits here? You're good?
I agree. Regulatory unclarity for any industry is a killer. किसी भी direction में set हो, but the answer needs to come. Else you are building in uncertainty, और वो पूरी building गिर सकती है क्योंकि ज़मीन हट जाएगी. And gaming industry right now is there in India, both from perspective of publisher, कि publisher कहाँ का हो सकता है, क्या बना सकता है, and everything to do with Indian corporate law, all GST, taxation, income tax, whatever. दोनों side में बहुत unclear है, and for an industry that is this massive, to the scale of 100 million people, 200 million people playing mobile games, it's too much economy at risk and too much future also at risk. So unclarity of regulation at this point, for this scale of economy, I don't think will work very well for our country. We need a clarity, need a direction.
So, okay, so to be honest, right, I usually avoid these kind of questions because my director and my bosses, they are, more of the guys who usually think on this. What I think is due to this GST and all those stuff, right, what would happen is at the end users would be affected because हमको क्या करना पड़ता है कि entry fees और वो सब बढ़ाना पड़ता है. तो that is a cut at our end and at users end as well. So that is something that we need to clear out. Okay, I guess बहुत time हो गया कि ये चीज़ अटका हुआ है. सिर्फ हमको पता रहता है कि कुछ तो change आने वाला है, right? So once we get this out of this bucket, right? तो हमको tension नहीं रहेगा कभी कि क्या करना है क्या नहीं करना है करके.
Thanks guys. So, moving on to more interesting stuff on fantasy and otherwise, right? So, Jayendra, I want to ask you, where do you see progress on the trust building amongst your users? And, has perception been altered? Where do you see any change there, if you could?
Oh, yeah, nice question. So, see, to be honest, अगर देखने गए तो when it comes to fantasy and then real money gaming, right? We need to understand both of them, these things are different. Okay, so first is, when it comes to fantasy, it's like कि जो real life matches होते हैं, उनके आपको players select करके आपकी team बनानी है. And based on this real life events, in that particular match, then these guys are awarded certain points and based on that you earn money. When it comes to real money gaming, what happens is, those are those board games or childhood games that the users had actually played in, right? And based on that, you start earning on that amount. So one is actually time-based and other is session-based gaming. Okay, so when it comes to trust, okay, internet penetrated the market. And again, what happened is कि mobile devices, smartphones became cheaper and cheaper day by day. And this helped us to penetrate deep into the market. But what usually has happened is, due to this, trust issues were raised, whereas in frauds were increasing day on day, security concerns were coming up with, and we want to come up with a certain solution for those users, right? Because local vendors were also getting cheated of their money, and those amount were being transferred into our account, and then these users are transferring it to another Playerzpot account, and then withdrawing this amount. So we have to, build a certain structured security platform for those users and other guys as well. So what generally happened is, in the beginning, right, when we started our platform 4 or 5 years ago, what happened is we didn't had any presence, right? But as some of the competitors that we have, they already had their presence in the market, as in Dream 11 or other platforms, My Team 11 and all. So they helped us building that awareness among those users, right? We were a APK-based platform, Google Play Store. They don't allow us to be on the platform in Google Play, on Android, right? Until last September, when they introduced this DFS and rummy का जो applications है, वो सब उन्होंने Play Store पे live करने दे दिया था. Again, there are certain factions, right? They are telling कि other games भी तो fantasy skill-based game का part है, तो हम क्यों नहीं आ रहे हैं? And they have moved to the code with Google Play Store. तो these previously established organization, उन्होंने ना पहले से awareness create करके रखा था हमारे लिए, and then it became easier for us to grab the attention of the users from there itself. So for building that trust among the users, we had to acquire certain brand ambassadors. Okay, when there are famous people and famous faces associated with your application, it becomes much more easier for the user to have that bharosa on your application. And that's how it began for us. Whereas we acquired Smriti Mandana, we acquired Bhuvaneshwar Kumar. Recently we acquired Rashmika Mandana for our to be the face of the application. And that was the initial boost of trust for the users. Now the next thing is what I have observed. It is with my parents itself, right? I have been for last 4 years with my this company, right? And my parents are like कि क्या यार तू gambling company में काम कर रहा है? And I'm like कि नहीं dad, gambling company नहीं है, अच्छा company है चल जाएगा. बोलता है नहीं यार government stay लाएगा, तेरा company बंद है, तू jobless है. And I was like कि नहीं ऐसा कुछ नहीं होगा, you don't worry about it. And for the first year he was very much worried about my job. Second year he was like कि नहीं बहुत सारा applications है. Third year he is like कि he has became a player of fantasy and he is an expert in carom right now. And now this year I'm expecting बस 1 crore जीत जाए. That's it.
Thanks guys. So Richa, something for you. You're in a very, very trending space, right? With fantasy sports, right? Very new, very trending. You could let people know a little about how this is and Also, how do you see this trend picking up and catching up with fantasy cricket, fantasy football, right? Also, do you see transgression from esports to the RMG fantasy esports happening, if at all, because since they're a similar genre, right? And RMG is the difference. And what kind of growth do you see happening here?
I am the founder of FanClash, for those who don't know. FanClash is a company that does fantasy on esports. Why I'm giving this background? Because it's such a novel thing in the global market. It's not something that's done, even in the more advanced markets of, say, Germany or UK. So I think we are the first in Asia to do that. So the whole product itself is difficult to understand. So I'll just go back there. Just the way any fantasy cricket allows you to pick up your best 11 players from a real-life match that's happening in some stadium today. You can sit at your home and pick up your best 11 and say, this is my best team. This same concept we allow for esports matches. Now, what are esports matches? Matches such as if there's a World Cup final of Dota 2, which was Dota International a month back, or there's a World Cup final of LOL, which just concluded, or Asian finals for Free Fire, etc. अब इन ये जो esports हैं, ऐसे games जो हैं जो competitive level पे बने हुए हैं, जिनका regional होता है, national होता है, international होता है, Asian games होता है, और अब Olympics पे भी it's going to start giving medals for this. India just won a bronze medal in Dota in Asian Cup. तो हमें Asian Cup में Dota जीतने के लिए उतने ही number मिले जितने athletics के लिए मिले या archery के लिए मिले. That is to tell you that this is a new set of sports that has appeared in the world. This is not just gaming, a AAA competitive game is a sport. तो इन sports का national, regional हर level पे होता है, उस पे आप अपना fantasy product run कर सकते हो. This is what we do. Now, to Sharmilee's question, कि ये कितना बड़ा हो जाएगा या कितना बड़ा है या what is the growth rate, etc. Growth rate of fantasy on any sports will be one dependent on stage of fantasy itself. जैसे आप 5 साल पहले fantasy शुरू किए होते हैं तो आप बहुत तेजी से grow कर रहे होते हैं क्योंकि कोई नहीं है. You're the first mover. तो e-sports fantasy अभी उस stage में है. Any of you who love e-sports should go and build a product like this क्योंकि आपको हमेशा life में first mover advantage चाहिए होता है. Why is D11 so big and it is almost impossible for anyone to catch up? Is क्योंकि वो first mover advantage से 8 साल में उन्होंने इतना बना लिया है. तो 1 to the growth rate of esports fantasy, this is year 1, day 1 of it. Any of you should go and do it. I do it. I put my career bet on it. तो इसलिए growth rate बहुत high है क्योंकि it is a nascent industry. Second, किसी भी fantasy का growth rate वो होगा जो underlying, अगर जब maturity के towards आ जाए, 2-3 साल आपने बना लिया fantasy, जितना underlying sport grow करेगा या degrow करेगा. तो जैसे Wimbledon का सबसे बड़ा concern ये है कि average age of watcher is 55. They are going to die. Why does Asian game or Olympics even include a Dota 2? Because they know कि Wimbledon देखने वाले बचेंगे नहीं, tennis देखने वाले बचेंगे नहीं, और अगला generation यही Dota देखने वाला है. तो उसको घुसाओ Asian Games में, Olympics में, हर जगह. तो because esports itself फट के बढ़ रहा है, I'm pretty sure 2018 में none of us knew about esports. 2018 September में when PUBG hit the market and then there are 100 million players and suddenly there's a Free Fire, and then there's a land grab war. There's every publisher trying to enter India. 3 साल पहले ये industry नहीं थी. And suddenly it has come up to a level where 200 million people are involved here playing competitive esports game depending on whether or not they're banned at the time. तो क्योंकि underlying sport 30% CAGR से बढ़ रहा है, to give you perspective on 30% CAGR, it's extremely high CAGR for an industry level. Underlying sport इतनी तेजी से बढ़ रहा है तो उसके ऊपर बना हुआ कोई भी product, चाहे data product हो, चाहे उसकी teams हो, चाहे उसके matches हो, चाहे उसके sponsors हो, चाहे उस पे fantasy हो, उसी CAGR से बढ़ेगा. So for both these reasons, it's growing very, very fast. Now, where will it reach? All of us sitting here believe कि gaming is going to be very big, else we would not be here. तो it is going to reach wherever gaming is going to reach. जितना बड़ा gaming होगा, उसके ऊपर derivative product उतना ही बड़ा होगा. So it's bound to get extremely, extremely big over next 5-10 years. The estimated value of the industry is approximate. It depends on what you see. There are people, there are all kind of numbers there, but extremely big क्योंकि esports बड़ा हो जाएगा, and also because it's early stage. So that is the growth opportunity in esports fantasy. Very long answer. Sorry, guys.
So actually, I have this doubt towards Richa, right? Ki while a user is more into RMG or skill-based fantasy, he has everything under his control, right? But when it comes to esports, तो इंडिया में esports इतना famous भी नहीं है फिलहाल क्योंकि अभी वो pick हो रहा है, right? How can I trust other players, right? क्योंकि esports में games में glitches है, bugs and everything, right? So जिसके वजह से ना I can lose my money if I bet onto a player in esports. So how is that thing handled?
पहले मैं इंडिया एग्नोस्टिक आंसर दे देती हूँ because India is a very special case. There's ban, there's unban, there's ban. So depending on which month we are talking about, India एग्नोस्टिक ऐसा लगता है कि esports के टूर्नामेंट्स कहीं हो रहे होंगे जिसमें ग्लिचेस हो रहे होंगे जो किसी छोटी से फील्ड में हो रहे होंगे. Now I'll give you perspective on it. डोटा इंटरनेशनल का वर्ल्ड कप का प्राइज मनी होता है 40 मिलियन. आईपीएल का कितना होता है? नो, इट्स $3 million. द स्केल इज $3 million to Dota International of $40 million. This is the scale of our biggest sports to one of the sports. The largest stadium in the world. ऐसे नहीं eyeballs नहीं ऑनलाइन. स्टेडियम दुनिया में सबसे बड़ा अब फुटबॉल का नहीं है. It is a e-sports stadium with 65,000 capacity in Korea. वहाँ पे actually e-sports बैठा के होता है और 65,000 लोग बैठ के देखते हैं, which is way bigger than anything that our Wankhede stadium of 10,000 people, maximum capacity 15,000, or Chelsea stadium with maximum capacity of 40,000 can handle. So these things, and I can give you so many more stats to tell you how big it is. We don't realize because we sit in India, which bans, unbans, and also in so many other ways, sports में हम हमेशा पीछे रहे हैं क्योंकि हमारे पास GDP पर कैपिटा वाइज हम लोग डेवलपमेंट के जिस पड़ाव पे हैं अपनी ज़िंदगी में उसमें स्पोर्ट्स से पहले हमें बहुत कुछ सॉल्व करना है लाइफ में. तो सिमिलरली हम ई स्पोर्ट्स से भी पहले अभी बहुत कुछ सॉल्व कर रहे हैं. So in general our country is not able to focus or put dollars behind these things, but the rest of the world is at a place where when cricket is $3 million, IPL में इतना तमाशा कि IPL, any single game is bigger than that. Any single game का World Cup, any single game का stadium is bigger than that. The eyeballs are on another level. तो ऐसा नहीं है कि छोटे-छोटे games हैं. अब now I'll answer on India perspective. India perspective ये है कि देखो एक बहुत मजेदार चीज़ है e-sports में. ट्रेडिशनल स्पोर्ट्स हमेशा ज्योग्राफी लोकलाइज्ड रहे हैं. ऐसा क्यों है? व्हाई इज इट लाइक दैट? एनीबडी? व्हाई डज इंडिया प्ले क्रिकेट, कनाडा प्ले आइस हॉकी, यूरोप प्ले फुटबॉल? व्हाई इज लोकलाइज्ड? कम ऑन पीपल.
Because it is mostly based on the target audience. Their expectation is not beyond the place where they have been stayed.
Yeah. Yeah, that and there's a certain kind of weather and infrastructure required. क्योंकि आपके पास सिंथेटिक कोर्ट नहीं है और आप मिट्टी की ज़मीन पे क्रिकेट खेल सकते हो, इसलिए हमने क्रिकेट में तो मचा दिया है. सिंथेटिक कोर्ट वाला गेम हम इतना नहीं मचा पाएंगे, इतना इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर नहीं मिलेगा.
Sorry. Even in Olympic level, if we see nowadays, one game is becoming more popular, show horse jumping. If the game comes on that level, it will be more good because there we virtually get correlated with the horse and the man. The relationship between the man and the animal starts there. And it would help somewhere to the society that being cruel to animals, putting more load on their cart. If such kind of games come up, we will be very lucky and more passion towards animal will be grow. Because nowadays we are seeing games on shooting, gaming and many small aspects, but I have been not seen a game on show horse jumping.
Okay.
On one more thing, it's there in a very little manner in your playbox or in your modern mobile. The game's name is Rival 3D Horse Racing.
Understood. हाँ, तो there'll be newer things, but to answer कि इंडिया पर्सपेक्टिव में ये टूर्नामेंट्स इतने बड़े हैं क्या? क्योंकि ज्योग्राफी एग्नोस्टिक है, ट्रैड गेम ज्योग्राफी के हिसाब से बने थे, जिस भी वजह से इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर वेदर के हिसाब से। अब जैसे डोटा 2 बिगेस्ट है ना, तो साउथ कोरिया में भी डोटा 2 खेला जा रहा है, इंडिया में भी खेला जा रहा है, कैलिफोर्निया में भी खेला जा रहा है। तो हमारे यहाँ तुम डोटा 2 का कुछ भी लेवल कर दो, जो आदमी देख रहा है, समझ रहा है, वो अमेरिकन डोटा 2 पे भी फैंटेसी कर लेगा, और कोरियन पे भी कर लेगा, वर्ल्ड कप पे भी कर लेगा, बिकॉज द टारगेट पॉपुलेशन, द नंबर ऑफ पीपल हु प्ले a counterpart would be cricket. In this case is the global population which is coming up. Currently it is 18 to 25 years old who play this. Growing at a CAGR of 30%. Again, insane CAGR. I don't know if you guys know. Einstein said compounding is the 8th wonder of the world. So CAGR is compounding. Something compounding at 30% will become insane. तो ग्लोबल आप किसी भी टूर्नामेंट को कवर कर सकते हो, इंडिया कवर करना जरूरी नहीं है. तो इवन दो वी आर बिहाइंड, बट आवर टारगेट ऑडियंस इज ग्लोबल. सो इन बोथ दीज केसेस it is reaching a scale where it is already significant, to my mind.
Thank you, thank you. Wow, that was really interesting. Thanks, thanks. So we're going to now talk, Vikas, can you throw some light on, moving to the business side of the gaming part? Throw some light on the best channels for marketing for online real money gaming industry. What do you think, and how does it work?
Right. Again, it all flows down from the regulations itself, right? So our most business enabler channels, be it your Google, your Facebook, all are banned, right? They are still opening up. Like your USC campaigns, your universal app install campaigns, they are probably the best channel for you for any other industry. Here we don't have an app in the Apple Android store itself, right? But again, like I said, being Indians, again, being marketeers, we have to find solutions, we have to improvise, right? So the industry has grown this far. It has had a significant organic growth because people were sitting idle in their homes in the last 2 years, themselves searching for different games and different avenues, right? But from a marketing perspective, we have found other avenues like community-based advertising, right? Now, surprisingly, gaming and especially poker and such kind of games have a lot of loyalty, a lot of stickiness to either the brands or the game in itself, right? So it becomes very natural to build community-based advertising, community-based events to do whatever, selling your USPs or remarketing or whatever we do as part of marketing. Just the strategy is different, right? Now this is towards our existing fraternity, a gradually growing fraternity itself, but it's also probably a responsibility that we are in a sunshine industry, right? We are in a category building phase. So it's in a way a responsibility that we take all of this outside as well. So that is where probably a brand building approach comes into picture. Now this is probably the trust question that was getting answered the other time, right? Probably you will see RMG is the only space across this whole very broader gaming industry. RMG is the only space we are trying to build brands, right? You will not see Clash of Clans, you will not see FIFA or anyone trying to build a brand or take a national presence.
True. Work right from the beginning, I agree.
Right, so Dream11 probably led it. Right, they had their own journey because from this past 7-8 years or so, but now almost every category, be it in the rummy space, be it in the poker space, fantasy space, everyone is looking to build brands, right? Because trust is one aspect, but they see national appeal being another, right? They see that there is an opportunity to be category leader. And there are so many categories, right? Fantasy was one, esports was one, now a combination is coming up, right? So gaming is that vast. Everything is set. It's just about our innovation and ideating, be it from a business model point of view or marketing model, right? So these regulations open up, we will find these Google and Facebook also coming into this mix, and it will only help us grow further. But we will keep innovating. Yeah.
So Vikas, you spoke about advertisers and stuff. Tell me from the marketers and advertisers' perspective, how do you see them encashing on big ticket events and their whole modality to big time get in their users, and what are their moves there and how do they make that work for them?
Yeah, I think IPL and such kind of events are like, or the bilateral series are the hardcore, like the waiting points for fantasy sports, right? So they are just waiting for when these events, when the calendar will come out for the cricket or the football or the kabaddi space. For other players like a poker, be it a rummy or so, we create events. Right. For example, from the poker space, we have India Poker Championship, right? That's the biggest poker event in India, probably from 10 years or so, which in a way brought WSOP, World Series of Poker, which happens in Vegas, to the lights of India, right? So either we participate in events to take a bigger stage, to make our game bigger, it's not just a game, it's not just entertaining कि आप ऐसे ही जब travel कर रहे हो, commit कर रहे हो, खेल रहे हो. Poker is professional for many players, right? So like the way we go and do our jobs, people get up, they do their yoga, fitness and everything, and then they go play tournaments for 4 to 8 hours, right? So that's profession for them. So we, from marketing point of view, it's our responsibility to build that game to that stage, right? So to build that kind of a perception. So we either participate in such kind of events, we either bring, associate with ambassadors at that level, or we create our own events. Right? So that's
Jayendra, somewhere there on fantasy and how IPLs and all are kind of.
Yeah. So adding to the previous question as well, right? When Vikas talk about the loyalty part, right? And it has been observed actually. So we are into card gaming, we are into real money gaming and casual gaming as well, right? Oh, sorry, fantasy gaming as well. So what happens is for card gaming, the loyalty observed is immense, man. To be honest, those users and the retention that we are having for those, people who are playing card games on a daily basis is nice. But what has been observed in fantasy wala part is कि बहुत सारे options है. And year on year, 2x, 3x new companies are coming into the market and to the picture. So what happens is कि एक भी match user हार गया तो user बोलेगा बाढ़ में गया company. मैं जा रहा हूँ कहीं और. ठीक है. And what happens is the offerings, the free contest, the offers directly available to the new users on every platform is good, right? So it's like कि Playerzpot पे आऊँगा, पहले 100 रुपए लूँगा, हार गया तो चला जाऊँगा, जीत गया तो withdraw कर लूँगा. फिर उसके बाद ड्रीम 11 पे मूव होऊंगा. तो उनका तो माइंडसेट वही है, राइट? सो व्हाट हैपेंस इज कि लॉयल्टी इज वन ऑफ द मेजर इश्यूज दैट वी हैव. फॉर गेम्स वी नो कि ओके रिटेंशन है एंड वी आर क्लोज टू द मार्केट का व्हाट वी से बेस लाइन एंड वी आर नॉट बिलो दैट, टू बी ऑनेस्ट. Cards, we have observed good things, right? So what we usually do is in fantasy gaming for any startup, right? So if anybody is planning to enter into this domain, we would ask them to go and approach those influencers. So there are tier 2, tier 3 influencers who have user base on Telegram of 1 million, 2 million, and they are like कि आज जाके Playerzpot पे खेलो, and then we directly see a spike in revenue, right? So what usually happens is acquiring those talents. I don't know what they have done. It's like they invest 1 lakh, 2 lakh in a match. They win certain amount in that match, and then they directly share screenshots of their winning onto the YouTube channel, on the Telegram channel, and this in returns gains them popularity. कि भाई ये बंदा जीत रहा है, इसको follow करो, इसका team सही चल रहा है. Background में ये हुआ है कि उसने 20 team बनाया है, 20 account से enter की है, and मतलब public को पता ही नहीं चलता. But this is how this thing works, right? And then this influencers, they are asking for amounts in lakh for one video, for one post. Yes, the lakhs and crores. So crores is for like a complete tournament, a complete series, right? And what we have observed, right, in for cricket, IPL is one of the major tournament, not one of the major tournament, to be honest. And only IPL is an event whereas we observe a spike. Okay, so let it be those users, right, who come in the IPL, they are year-long users. So you have to make sure you acquire the right users in IPL and then make sure you milk them year-around. Okay, तो वही चलता है कि ना उनको कैसे वापस बुलाएं, क्योंकि IPL is the only place whereas बरसाती मेंढक बोलते हैं ना, तो सब लोग बाहर आ जाते हैं. मेरा दोस्त खेल रहा है, मैं खेलूंगा. मेरा घर वाला खेल रहा है, मैं खुद खेलूंगी. या फिर मेरी बाई खेल रही है तो मैं भी खेलूंगा. तो किसी को मिस आउट नहीं करना है. So this is the reason, right, कि IPL is a period whereas everybody comes out. Yeah, and what was your next question?
No, this is.
Okay.
I think this. So basically, just as to what the response is like and cashing on the big ticket events, and basically fantasy does a lot there as well, right, on advertisements and.
Okay. So to be honest, what usually happens during IPL is, we make sure Playerzpot is, available on every front. To be honest, we have seen, certain times whereas people used to come to us and like, यार Playerzpot कहीं पे दिखता ही नहीं है करके. And that was the time then the company decided कि अभी है ना जो भी करना है एकदम full fledged करना है, right? So we have our budget assigned for IPL, and it's like कि IPL जैसे ही आएगा पूरा market में splash करना है. Let it be Facebook ad, let it be Google ad, let it be OTT platform, TV ads, even radio, right? We have tried radio as well. So everywhere now you can see a Playerzpot. Just that's the only reason, right? What happens is कि you have to acquire crowd at that particular moment, और फिर वहाँ से बंदों को year long खिलाओ.
Thank you. So The next question I want to ask is more on the interest side of what are the kind of investments and opportunities that one can expect and what's going on in the online gaming industry, right? People are talking about, the funding winters, people are talking about much money exchange, while there are others who are doing brilliantly, right? So one is what's going on, the scenario outside, if anyone wants to take that. Second is, what are the opportunities and where do we see that going? Yeah, for RMG as a new industry taking it forward.
I guess Richa, being an entrepreneur, would be able to answer much better than us marketeers.
Sure.
What are the opportunity in RMG? I'm guessing it is tailored to the audience, like for any one of you trying to enter it. See, one is the verticals that have gotten built. As he was saying, कि card games बहुत अच्छे चलते हैं, and we know cricket fantasy अच्छी चलती है. So one opportunity is कि all of these industries have grown a lot. तो इसके सारे verticals में there are very good career options and even product options. जैसे user, हर fantasy company ने user की journey को gamify किया है. अब हम सब ने वो किया है करोड़ों रुपए की टीम्स खर्चा करके. इवेंचुअली क्या होगा, एक प्रोडक्ट कंपनी बन जाएगी जो SaaS की तरह बनाएगी और वो प्लग एंड प्ले होगा सारे फैंटेसी में. तो कोई भी चीज़ जो प्रोडक्ट फीचर होती है वो बाद में कंपनी बन जाती है, विच इज़ क्लेवर टैप, विच इज़ सो मेनी थिंग्स. कि सब लोग नोटिफिकेशन अपना अपना भेज रहे थे, फिर क्लेवर टैप बन गई, वो सबका नोटिफिकेशन भेज रही है. सो वन इज़ दैट कि जो भी करंट इंडस्ट्री में है उनकी जॉब्स और उनके वर्टिकल, चाहे वो मार्केटिंग है, ग्राफिक डिज़ाइनिंग है, यूज़र जर्नी है, रिकमेंडेशन है, जो भी है, वो सब कुछ प्रोडक्ट्स में कन्वर्ट हो जाएगा. एंड हेंस दैट इज बिजनेस अपॉर्चुनिटी एंड द जॉब इटसेल्फ आर ग्रेट अपॉर्चुनिटी. द अदर इज क्रिएटिविटी दैट नीड्स टू क्रिएटिवली आप क्या सोच सकते हो कि अगले 5-10 साल बाद ये इंडस्ट्री कैसी दिखेगी, जिसको विजन कहते हैं. हैविंग अ विजन कि 10 साल बाद ये होने वाला है एंड यू स्टार्ट मूविंग टुवर्ड्स दैट. Why is that important? Flipkart is Flipkart today because it moved in 2008. $2 billion की इंडस्ट्री नहीं थी तब इंडियन ई-कॉमर्स. एंड Dream11 is Dream11 because it moved in 2010. अब आज मूव करके नहीं होगा. You need to do the path and you need to be first mover and then build and everything. तो 10 साल आगे RMG कैसा दिखेगा अगर उसका आप विजन कर सकते हो, एनविजन कर सकते हो, तो that is another opportunity. Now, I'll give you my broad thinking on it. I think social will become big part of it. Fantasy और sports अभी दो अलग अलग चलता है. हॉटस्टार पे आपका मैच चल रहा है, फैंटेसी यहाँ चल रहा है. It will come together. अब उस come together में who will be winner we don't know. हॉटस्टार फैंटेसी करने लगेगा या फैंटेसी कंपनी हॉटस्टार बन जाएंगी या सोशल कंपनीज, ये दोनों कर लेंगी given how lucrative it is. Now you will have to imagine how this industry will move, how players will move and create a product around that or a product around the product. कि वो जब बनेगा सब कुछ तो सोशल में होगा क्या, सोशल में लोगों को मीम्स शेयर करनी होगी, एक दूसरे के साथ स्टिकर शेयर करने होंगे, तो मैं उसकी कंपनी बना देती हूँ. तो इमेजिनिंग 10 ईयर आगे क्या चल रहा होगा, कौन से स्पोर्ट्स रेलेवेंट नहीं रहेंगे, कौन से रहेंगे, कौन अभी नहीं है लेकिन आ जाएगा. जैसे आई डू ई स्पोर्ट्स फैंटेसी क्योंकि मैं मानती हूँ कि 10 साल बाद ई स्पोर्ट्स इतना बड़ा हो चुका होगा कि आज जो मूव करेगा वही विन करेगा, 10 साल बाद नहीं कर सकते. तो दैट इज वन वे ऑफ थिंकिंग कि वेयर कैन यू गो एंड व्हाट विल बी द जॉब्स इन इट और व्हाट विल बी द lucrative products to build, and accordingly you can think about your careers and how do you want to enter and how, even if as an investor, where do you put your money. क्या ये सब कुछ ब्लॉकचेन पे चला जाएगा? क्यों जाना चाहिए? क्योंकि यार एक एक फैंटेसी पॉट पे 1-1 लाख लोग होते हैं. अब हमको क्या पता, कंपनी ने अपना ही बेस्ट टीम देख के लास्ट में अपनी टीम घुसा दी और फर्स्ट प्राइज ले गया 1 करोड़, तो उनका तो खर्चा ही नहीं आया एंड वी पेड मनी. तो फिर उसमें डाउट है कि इस कंपनी एज अ एजेंट फेयर और नॉट. 10,000 की टेबल में तो आप चेक कर सकते हो, 2 करोड़ की टेबल में कैसे करोगे? तो फिर द कंपनीज टू सॉल्व दिस ट्रस्ट इशूज विल स्टार्ट पोस्टिंग ऑल देयर टीम्स एंड एवरीथिंग ऑन पब्लिक लेजर ब्लॉकचेन. तो ये क्या सब कुछ ब्लॉकचेन पे चला जाएगा? और अगर चला जाएगा तो या तो आप ब्लॉकचेन फैंटेसी बना दो या ब्लॉकचेन सैस बना दो जिसपे सारे लोग फैंटेसी करें. आपका मन, आपको ई स्पोर्ट्स का करना है, क्रिकेट का करना है, जो भी करना है, मेरी तो सैस कंपनी है जो ब्लॉकचेन बना देगी फैंटेसी बिजनेस के लिए. तो दोज आर वेज टू थिंक वेयर अपॉर्चुनिटीज आर.
थैंक्स, थैंक यू.
Yeah, I mean, great insights there, right? So a few other angles on this industry. It's a very unique industry, right? मतलब mass appeal, right? Full high organic growth. कुछ करने की जरूरत नहीं लोग Ludo मतलब they crashed in the first 1-2 months, right? They had not even imagined. And Ludo, right? We have all played growing up and everything. So that kind of organic appeal can be very high ARPU for some industries, right? Very high margins, high ticket price kind of an industry. And probably e-commerce and all have these features, right? But the unique part is no overheads, right? Sales teams, customer care teams, आपको brick and mortar offices बनाने हैं, जिसमें lots of overheads go in, right? Decreasing your P&L or EBITDA and all. None of them in the gaming industry. You just have your product, you just have some customer support and marketing teams, and you're good to go, right? So that kind of an industry, very vastly growing. Probably the regulation space is the only thing that is waiting from an investor's point of view, right? मैं पैसे डाल दूँ फिर क्या हो जाएगा, right? Once that is sorted, I think line लग जाएगी, right? Both from entrepreneur's perspective as well as from the investor's perspective. So opportunities are very diverse, lots of innovation happening across, and yeah, just waiting for all the clarity to come in and should be set up.
Great. Thanks, guys. So one last question here. Vikas, maybe you can start. Where do you see the industry for RMG 5 years down the line? And what do you guys think are going to be the triggers to growth? What are the products or the games which are really going to scale? And what are those triggers which will contribute to that growth maybe in the near future or future?
The pace at which it is growing and the directions in which it is growing, it's very difficult to predict. But a few things I feel would be definite. Technological evolution will be key, because I think currently all the gaming engines are not based out of India, right? We are probably a service-based industry, good at IT, but the kind of gaming engines that drive the top games are based out of either Russia, Europe, and so on. So probably technological evolution is one. Key factors, at least that part I'm addressing. Meta is the next future, right? And the best part is, again, meta would be all gamified, right? E-commerce will come in, entertainment will come in, but it will have to be gamified. So that is where, again, a gaming evolution will naturally come in, blockchain-based games and all, Richa mentioned. So this is a direction that is definitely visible. Technological evolution, both from a Web3 as well as kind of gaming engine power that is required to drive these games, right? So that would be key as well. And see, if we just look at other industries as well, right? The way payment gateways have come in now, right? Now it has become universal, right? The way even mutual funds or even bitcoins have become like your next asset class, right? पहले real estate या फिर gold में ही रहते थे. Now mutual fund is की SIP कर ही देना है. So that level of comfort will come in, right? With respect to gaming. Now we see 40-year-old, 50-year-old all playing different type of games, right? We probably don't play to the extent our parents probably use WhatsApp to this now, but are also getting onto gaming, right? So that's the kind of evolution from a user acceptability that it becomes a very second nature. Earlier, sports was that way. Very soon, gaming would be that way, right? So those are my few cents on the future of it.
Do you all want to talk about this? Anything in the future where you see 5 years?
I spoke about most of the trends that I think will come. Overall headline, I feel consumer का consumption pattern every 10 year change हो जाता है. अभी जो इंस्टाग्राम चल रहा है 7-8 साल से, उसके पहले फेसबुक चल रहा था उसके 8 साल पहले से, उसके पहले ऑर्कुट का चल रहा था उसके पहले. तो बियॉन्ड 8-10 years कंज्यूमर प्रोडक्ट बिकॉज ऑफ द टेक्नोलॉजी चेंजेस एंड पूरा सिस्टम चेंजेस एंड ऑल दैट चलता नहीं है. और अभी का RMG कम से कम 8 साल पुराना तो है, तो चेंज तो होना है. एंड द वेज दैट आई थिंक इन एंड आई जस्ट एलैबोरेटेड कि क्या चीज़ें चेंज होंगी. Those were that, but I think it's about time we think very hard, because it will change. Either you go in and change and keep the value, or somebody else will change and you will pay the value. One of the two will happen.
Agreeing to the point, right? But there is this only one issue where I see is when people talk about NFTs and blockchains being introduced in gaming and everything, what usually happens in India is कि पब्लिक यूज टू हो गया चीज़ों से, और है ना नए चीज़ को जल्दी से अडाप्ट करते ही नहीं है, ठीक है? तो व्हाट विल हैपन इज कि अभी भी अगर आप देखोगे तो NFTs में वो लोग कमा रहे हैं जिन्होंने ना इनिशियल डेज पे ना पहले ही जंप ले लिया था कि भाई ट्राई करना है, रिस्क लेना है. और यही चीज़ है ना यहाँ पे फैंटेसी के सेक्टर में होने वाली है कि दोस कंपनीज विल स्टार्ट इनकॉर्पोरेटिंग NFTs एंड ब्लॉकचेन इनटू द प्रोडक्ट, दे आर गोइंग टू गेट वैल्यूड इन द लॉन्गर रन. That's the simple thing that's going to happen.
Thanks, guys. I think the gaming space is anyway exploding. And there's no doubt that the RMG space too is actually on the helm for explosive growth, right? Yes, of course. We're coming to that. So, anyone, any questions here, please?
Yeah, I have a question. Anil Banwari here.
Okay, wow.
See, there's a lot of the RMG, she may have addressed it, but I'd like it to be addressed again. The RMG space has got a lot of bad name going around. How are we going to clean that up? It has a bad name going around in terms of not being able to fulfill on promises, in overcommitting, in overpromising. How are we going to get that sorted out with certain sections?
गति जीवन का सत्य चिरंतन, changes होंगे और changes होते रहेंगे, and the opposite side of changes कि जब भी कोई changes होता है, जैसे internet आया, the first few users of internet were things we don't want to even take the name of in this industry, and then the world goes on to keep the right things of internet and block the rest. तो RMG के साथ भी वही हो रहा है, कोई भी नई इंडस्ट्री में ये होगा कि it will be misused and used, and at a mature level it will be used for the right things. So it's not something that see negative elements in every society and everything वही है.
नहीं हुआ है, लेकिन क्या है कि आपने ही कहा कि कोई भी आता है, कोई भी कंपनी लगाता है, लोगों से पैसे ले जाते हैं और गुम हो जाते हैं फिर नेक्स्ट डे. तो ये कैसे, is there an organization happening in the industry to ensure you have some gradations for certain companies, there are accreditation, you need to have order coming into this ecosystem. कोई भी मतलब पैसे लेके जाते हैं और गुम हो जाते हैं.
Yeah, I'll let you speak, but there are federations, etc. you can be associated with. There's AIGF, there's Esports Federation and all of it. But in all honesty, again, I think none of it is a law or a legality or a criminal liability move. तो ये किसी भी negative element को रोक नहीं सकता. मतलब तब ये आप सब कर लो, लेकिन उसके बाद भी जिसको एक दुकान खोल के 4 लोग के पैसे लेके भागने हैं, वो भागेगा. So that is a maturity of the industry thing, and then the laws get made around it, and then when it becomes legal and all of it becomes legal or illegal at a scale, so we'll have to do that journey. Till then, we are in nascent stage of industry like any other, like alcohol, like internet, like all of it, which comes suddenly at a burst and then gets adopted really at scale because so much fun, and then you are solving over next 10 years. We'll have to do that journey.
So can a moderator answer a question? Thank you. So, answering your question on poor reputation that the space suffers, I think it really stems from a lot of confusion and lack of clarity also, right? So, predominantly, India is also a betting nation where you've started off, but yes, on aspects that you're comfortable with or have been going on for years is accepted, right? Also, I think the problem is that most of the audience out there don't know the difference, right? So it's like, I don't know about it, but I know that it's not right, or, there's a negative side to it.
I'm not saying betting is bad. Most countries encourage betting.
No, reputation. So I'll tell you. Also, another part, when you look at the gaming industry itself, right? One of the biggest concerns that stems from saying gaming to the word which is real money gaming is where the concern was. So authentic gamers don't really want to be associated with the area, right? So what happens then is if that divide was clear, right? And there was no confusion where they are paired, where RMG is paired with an authentic, maybe a BGMI setup or anyone else, I think the problems would be less. So I do believe one of the biggest confusions is lack of clarity and communication within industry and to external stakeholders where people don't know the difference. They just know this and that, except for real players, right? Which, yes, numbers are growing, but then they are not the ones to complain. I think where the reputation is really coming out is from the industry. And I think if the industry brings out clarity, when I say industry, we people, we are here, right? It's real money.
Yeah, but a gamer will not play an RMG game. A gamer will sway away from the RMG game. A real gamer will not play an RMG game.
No, so that's not his area of interest.
So I'm saying, because I'm so used to competitive gaming, if we have real players playing RMG gaming, maybe it will help remove some of the color, the bad color that...
Competition can also be within the RMG space. If they're having a tournament, there's still competition. It's just a different modality.
I'm saying the influencers in gaming are more respected than the influencers in RMG, is all I'm saying.
Correct.
So we need to bring about that change wherein RMG doesn't look as bad as it does. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, and that is the journey that all that branding money that is going into this industry is solving. When Dhoni stands up for 5 years and then Virat Kohli is also standing up and saying, and everybody else you named, these are very respectable names of the country. When they stand up and say ki khelo dimag se, those kind of branding comes in. For example, we are esports company. Jonathan is our brand ambassador. He's a massive gamer. To your point कि जो गेमर था वो जॉनथन को लव करता है और आरएमजी को अलग से देखता है. अब अगर जॉनथन ही खड़े होकर ईयर ऑन ईयर बोलेगा कि ई स्पोर्ट्स पे फैंटेसी खेलो बिकॉज इट इज प्लेड विद ब्रेन्स एंड ब्ला ब्ला, तो वो ब्रांडिंग थोड़ी चेंज होगी बिकॉज रिस्पेक्टेबल पीपल ऑफ द रिस्पेक्टिव कम्युनिटी ऑफ क्रिकेट, फुटबॉल और ई स्पोर्ट्स आर स्टैंडिंग अप एंड सेइंग एज द कंपनीज गेट बिगर दिस जर्नी विल डन.
उसको भी स्टॉप कर रही है गवर्नमेंट ने बोला है टीवी पे ये एड्स नहीं आ सकते हैं. गवर्नमेंट ने कहा है और टीवी एड्स ये एक्सेप्ट नहीं कर सकते फैंटेसी और
टीवी मर जाएगा.
अच्छा टीवी मर जाएगा.
मतलब माय पॉइंट इज कि मोस्ट ऑफ आवर ई स्पोर्ट्स पीपल आर ऑन इन गेमिंग साइड आर ऑन यूट्यूब गेमिंग, ट्विच एंड फेसबुक गेमिंग. सो एटलीस्ट फॉर अस द नेक्स्ट जनरेशन ऑफ मीडिया कंजम्पशन इज वेयर a lot less regulation applies and TV might be regulated but does not apply so much to us, at least in the current state.
So we're going to, if there's any last question, guys, because we're really short. Yes, please.
Hi, I'm Pritesh and I'm a lawyer specializing in gaming and entertainment. I think the distinction that lies is between game of skill and game of chance. And that's where our regulations are a little vague right now. So I just wanted to know from the panel, like when you deploy a game, a real money game, so do you look into the aspect whether it's a game of skill or it's a game of chance or a combination of both the two? Because in India, if I can say so, online betting or gambling, so to say, is prohibited. But a game of skill is somehow allowed, but it varies from state to state, nevertheless. So how do you guys look upon when you deploy a new version of a game or something to that effect?
Yeah, I think this is the lack of clarity or the requirement of clarity that we are recurring, and it probably answers previous question as well, that this distinction is what actually will set it right. Now game of skill will have probably much broader appeal, while game of chance can also have, right. Lottery has been there and quite acceptable from a long time. So it actually depends at the core USPs of the product as well. Like a game of chance cannot be marketed as a game of skill, right? Matlab users will not really accept that. And once this distinction is there from a regulatory point of view, right, and whatever accordingly GSTs and other aspects are also very clear, then the legitimacy will be set for both aspects, right? Like the way lottery has been in the game of chance aspect, now betting and other aspects can also easily come into that space. So positioning a product as well as marketing in that way should also be straightforward, right? Now, again, so that's the reason currently, because of this lack of clarity, everyone wants to be or project themselves as a game of skill. And that's where actual game of skills get, a bit beaten off in the whole lack of clarity, right? So once all of this clarity settles in, I think positioning basis your actual USPs will have advantages on the both fronts. And then it should be a smooth sail ahead, right? Now, even with respect to be it Paytm or PhonePe, everyone marketed through cashbacks, right? We have used one free cash se leke, we have switched between our loyalties because of cashbacks, right? But they have understood that user-based generation is not sustainable, right? Eventually, they will have to get down to the USPs as to what they stand for and what value they add to the users, right? So I think collectively, all marketeers in this RMG space we have been inspiring that to each other, that we can't really be based कि मैं 1000 रुपए दे दूंगा आप join करो, मैं 2000 दे दूंगा कौन ज़्यादा देगा आ जाओ. Right? It is not sustainable. It's just a burning of cash, which is very short term, right? So once all of this clarity also settles in, now we don't see cashbacks in any of these things. We have our own loyalty basis, the kind of product experience we feel and so on, right? Eventually gaming will also evolve into that is what I feel.
Thank you.
Okay, guys, I think I'm going to end the session here. Thank you very much. Very interesting one. And thanks, guys. Thanks, Richa. Thanks, Jayendra.
Thank you,
thanks,
everyone.
Vikas. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone, for such a magnificent session. Yes,
I will just like to add one thing. I was sitting to the previous session also and this one. And time and again, we spoke about women being in gaming. And the parody in those sentences were that even when we were talking women in gaming, like the guy was sitting here and saying 30% are gamers, we said he. जिस सेंटेंस में हम बोल रहे थे कि 30% लड़कियां, उस सेंटेंस में भी हम ही बोल रहे थे. He is a streamer, he is a English speaker. Let's get the pronoun maybe to she. It's our first budget that's coming out in she. As a country, we are there. We are at a stage where हम women बोलते हुए भी he बोल देते हैं. So that's just a little correction to get more women in. She. Yeah.